got mail?
Hey everyone, it's great to be back with you once again because it's that time. So get ready to reminisce and relive the past here on Pop Culture Blast. I'm your host, Matt, aka the Nostalgia King, and I want to thank you all for joining us on this journey down memory lane. Each episode, we explore different topics that transport you back in time. From high school memories, old technology, and past news events, to the classic movies, vintage TV shows, and retro video games we all know and love. So whether you're an 80s, 90s, or 2000s kid, or you just love retro things, you're in the right spot. So load up your Walkman with that killer mixtape and pull on those acid-washed jeans and join me as we take a dive into the past here on Pop Culture Blast. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the show. I hope you're having a great day and that you're ready to take a trip down memory lane. This is episode 9 of Pop Culture Blast. In today's show, my co-host Tom and I debut a new format. We kick things off by discussing a few bits of recent nostalgia-related news, and then we jump straight into answering questions sent in by you, our amazing audience. Tom and I had a blast discussing and answering the awesome questions you all submitted, and I'm sure you'll enjoy our recollections and entertaining tangents along the way. And if you want to get a question answered here on the show, simply head over to www.streamelements.com/popcultureblast/tip. There you can submit your nostalgia-related questions while also showing your support for the show. All right, with all that said, let's get the show on the road. Let's start with some nostalgia-related news and then your audience questions. So, Tom, let's get started with our first, just little off the top thing. It's not one, we're not into the questions yet, but this I posted on my page earlier, and this is kind of an idea. Some of the content that I will post on my channel sometimes is you got to pick one or the other. You got to pick one from each row. So, what kind of 90s kid were you? Let's start with that first row. As far as the bubble gum, remember how big like bubble gum was back in the day? Like, I don't see them doing that right now, but they used to be like all kinds of crazy commercials, and people would they just like made gum fun back then. Remember?
It had some really good ads. I do remember those, but I also remember most of us in our youth would simply just open the bubble tape case and just like start eating the rolled up gum that was in it. And I mean, I think part of the goal was to see how much gum a human being could chew in one session until your jaw was exhausted. But I mean, it was just a sugar blast, man, and we loved it. You know, I don't get the same effect, but it was.
Being in a dispenser like the bubble tape, it just made it to where you would definitely chew way more than you would in any normal setting.
Yeah.
You know, with any other gum, you would take as like huge amounts. Like you'd probably take half the roll and try to chew just that amount.
I like both that comparison right there because both of them also have like an alternate purpose. Like, oh, this is my measuring tape, or these are my bandages, but it's actually candy. So, you know, it's candy, but it also has the appearance of being some, which I think would probably make kids our age carry it around more often. At least, I mean, it's going to make you remember it, of course. So
yeah, that ouch gum. I'm team B here with bubble tape. I probably never bought the ouch gum. Is maybe once, maybe I had it once, but did you ever try that? It looks like it's in different flavors too.
Yeah, I don't think it was as popular because I don't really remember seeing that much coverage of the candy bandages or whatever they are. So I almost don't feel like I remember it very well at all.
I remember it because it was kind of a novelty thing. Like it looked like you were taking out a bandage.
Right.
You know, like that was the thing back then. It was like it was fun to eat things or consume things that looked like there were other things. Remember the fake cigarettes that you could just eat, the candy cigarettes?
Candy cigarettes, and there were also cigars. They were like pink and blue, and I think it was supposed to be the "it's a boy, it's a girl" thing with the cigars. We're eating. Here's your pack of cigarettes, and it's just like, and I think they had like dust in them or something where you could actually blow through them and it would look like you were smoking. And I'm like,
yeah, I remember that definitely.
Like, man, they just didn't care, dude. That's all I could think of. Here you go, 7-year-old, learn how to do this motion. So,
the first row, are you an A or a B? I'm a B.
Bubble tape. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. What about the second row? We got A is Goosebumps and B is Highlights. Now,
Oh,
I had both, but I'll let you decide for you while I'm thinking about it. Which one was like your jam?
was Goosebumps short stories?
There were short books. Each book
Okay.
was an entire story.
Never really read much. I have trouble with like reading comprehension. I'm dyslexic, so that was never like my strong point. So I tended to go towards things like Highlights magazine, which I actually had a subscription one year, and it was like one of the best years because like as the age demographic for that, it had little comics in it. It would have one page things. It had have that's where Goofus and Gallant. Do you know who Goofus and Gallant are? They were
I
kind of
don't
like a,
No, I don't
I would,
recognize the name, but I had highlights and I did have a subscription just like you said. And they even had like optical illusion things and puzzles and they were just every page was something different and fun and they had
yeah,
educational things too.
Goofus and Gallant was like this boy just gets his allowance and spends it on candy, and Gallant saves part of it each week in case of a like there was the foolish kid that just lived for the moment and threw caution to the wind, and then there was the responsible boy. Now, no, he was the one you were supposed to want to be. It was usually like three comparisons. What they do with their allowance. They got a bad grade and how do they handle it, and like they lost a little league game, and like the bad kid blames the other kids, but the good kid says, "Hey, let's practice harder." Like it gave you kids lessons and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
but I was
Well, I think
definitely,
highlights was just it had a lot more variety. I remember there being like
yeah.
mazes and puzzles and like I said, optical illusions. I think even Where's Waldo or something similar was in that.
There was there was the other thing too is it wasn't just one specific age demo. There was stuff in there for like 6 year olds, but there was also stuff in there for like 12 year olds. Because there was one called the Timber Toes, which was like they looked like a family made out of Tinker Toys, and they were like probably for the youngest demographic. And it was just like a 9 or 10 panel thing, and I think it was more to get kids to learn how to read and like see something like, oh, the mom takes the kid over here, and then you see the picture of it so you can understand, I guess, build up a good vocabulary or whatever. But I mean, it was one of those things where it was an educational magazine and you didn't know it, you
Yeah,
know.
that's true. And
But
so I was really into Goosebumps though. I had an entire collection. I threw them out or gave them away or sold them at some point. I have none left. But I had quite a collection going. I'd fill drawers with them. I didn't consider myself a big reader, but for some reason those really
I think
I got hooked on those because the horror aspect, I was really into that as a kid watching Freddy Krueger and Halloween movies. So I liked scary stuff and I still do today. So I think I would have to go with A, even though I really liked highlights. But as I grew up, it was more of a goosebumps for me.
okay. So you're a B and an A, and I'm B so far. Okay, what do we got
All right.
next on the?
The next thing is, if you had the 60, if you were rich enough, if your family was, affluent, and you got the big crayon box of 64 colors with
Well,
the
yeah,
fancy yeah, the fancy built-in sharpener on the side, or I don't, I think you that other thing that had like all kinds of stuff in it. It had colored
oh,
pencils, paints.
uh, the reason I think income might play a role in some people's answers on this because if you didn't have space to have like a setup to have an art kit like that, you wouldn't really get any use out of it. But every kid could get a coloring book, and I'll be honest, like that I had that 64 bit, and I think we wore some of those crayons down. I mean, we used them like my sister and I. We're only a year apart, so when we were like 8 and 9, we did everything together, and we had so many coloring books, that we took them on trips or wherever we went. We always had them, and that
Yeah,
was
I'm definitely
that
more of
was
a coloring person. I can't paint. I can't use the chalk and stuff like that. So the crayons were way more practical for me. But you were really
yeah,
someone in school when you came in with that 64 pack because like I think it was required for your art class to get a pack of crayons. And you would get like the
right.
24 pack or something was the cheap stuff at Walmart. But you were really something and popular if you had that 64. Remember that?
Yeah. And the art kit, as cool as it is, like you had to be a little more skilled and knowledgeable of that stuff to really get the full use out of it.
Yes.
But
It's
everyone, but
gonna be an A for me on that one.
me too. So I'm BBA and you're BAA. All right. So
All
what do
right,
we? What's
last one is some like snacks or candies. The one on the left A is are those shark bites?
I think so, but I see
Those are,
three on the. So I already know what my answer is going to be.
yeah, so it's basically like fruit snacks, the chewy ones, and the shark bites. They had that white one that was like no one knew what the flavor was,
It's
but it was
white. That's
delicious.
my favorite flavor is white.
Yeah, yeah, you would just that's how you would talk like at the lunch table. Like I'll trade you a
Yeah.
four blues for a white. That white one was coveted.
I
but
I loved spree candy actually.
oh,
Um,
Spree is
what
it.
I used to take like 5 or 6 of them and put them on my all in my mouth at the same time, and you'd like suck on them until the candy layer was gone, and then it was just that white compressed sugar, and you'd have this mouthful of discs that are just made of compressed glucose, and you just and you were having the time of your life.
Yeah, Sprees are amazing. Someone reminded me in the comments. They said, "Well, what about Shock Tarts?" And I had totally forgotten about those, but that was
Yeah,
another one that I would eat a lot of as well.
is spree around anymore? Did they
I think so.
survive? They might be at a few mom and pop stores. I see sweet tarts everywhere still, but I don't remember. Maybe they are. But yeah, so
That would be a shame if they're not around anymore.
yeah, yeah. I like. Of course, I don't eat as much candy as an adult, but I still like it. But
All right,
I mean,
so
they're good. But Sour Patch Kids are usually in the area too, and that's.
ooh,
But
that's my new go-to when I go to the movies or something and I want some candy, get something sweet. That's definitely the one I pick.
all right. So, and what do you choose? You're taking the shark bites?
Oh no, I'm taking Spree. So I'm gonna be bubble tape with my Goosebumps, with my 64 crayons, and some Spree. That's my 90s starter kit.
The only thing we disagreed on was I chose Highlights magazine.
Yeah, and I
So
love highlights. You know, they were great, and they're fun on car rides because you can't get bored
yeah,
with highlights. You know,
yeah. And I like that. It's a good title too because it's kind of like that's how I am with sports. I'm like, I'll just watch the highlights. I know what I know what
Zan
happened.
got Zan got. I see you. Hey, he says hey. Thanks for the
Oh,
likes, guys.
cool. Hello.
All right, let's move on to our next little off the top story before we get into the questions. This came up and I posted it earlier. It was in the news. It's about the Winslow house from Family Matters. Did you know that that was a real house and
Yeah,
it got torn down recently?
I knew
Oh
there
no.
was some controversy about it, whether to save it or not, but I don't, I didn't know what the ultimate fate of it was. So,
Well, it's been demolished, so
huh.
rest in peace, Winslow House.
Where, what,
I think it was actually in Chicago, right?
what's it
So that
actually
took
in?
place.
Huh. All right, all right. So, I want to see some of the questions some people submitted because I'm all
Well,
excited.
yes, we're almost there. We're almost there. Before we get to that, I wanted to mention that we lost Robert Redford this week, and just wanted to say he was one of my favorite actors. I loved a lot of his movies. I remember seeing him in
And that,
Sneakers. You ever saw
yes,
that movie?
where they were that computer hackers.
Right.
That was a good movie. That's an under. You know what? We were talking about underappreciated movies before, and I think that's one of them. It didn't have this mega headline, but it was. It's one of the better movies I've seen. I loved it, and he did The Sting, and I liked him as the Natural. Of course, I like any baseball movie. So.
Yeah. He was in Captain America, so he actually made it into the Marvel
Oh,
Cinematic Universe.
oh, cool. All right. I've seen that. All right.
So rest in peace, Robert Redford. He was 89 years old. So good long life, great filmography. I'm probably going to check out Sneakers sometime this week just in honor of him.
That's a good movie. All right.
One more thing is
Uh,
this came up the trailer for the documentary coming out for John Candy, which finally they're doing one on him
well
called
earned.
I Like Me. And this screen cap is from that speech that he did in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, where he says, I like me. So I
Yep.
think it's a perfect title. That's
Uh,
coming out Amazon Prime October 10th. So I'll be
yep.
definitely watching that. What about you?
Oh yeah, I'm a huge John Candy fan. So,
Yeah, they're gonna
and
have a lot of interviews from people he worked with. I know Bill Murray. He's one of their people they interview. So
oh, no.
I'm really interested to see what he's got to say.
He used to be one of the owners of the Canadian Football League team known as the Toronto Argonauts.
Right.
So, well, all right.
All right, we're
We
about
got
to get into our questions that were submitted. Just a reminder to go follow us for our new channel we created over on YouTube, the Pop Culture Blast channel. We're going to be doing more content. So links in the description of either one of our bios. And if you want to get a question for us to answer, which is how the people that are about to get their questions answered, how they did it, you submit it through our link at streamelements.com/popcultureblast/tip. And you can get to that also from the link in my bio. There's a link tree with all that there. All right, Tom, you ready for the questions?
let's do it. I'm excited.
All right.
Yeah.
And these came in. I tried not to read them. I just collected them kind of blindly, and I wasn't
Okay.
really thinking about them. So they're kind of fresh for me too, even though I'm the one that organized all this and put it into a slideshow. But they're still fresh for me. So let's see what we
Oh,
got. All right,
cool.
question one.
Fine.
Oh, and it tells us how much that they donated. So thank you guys for all your donations. Groovy LT for $3. What games are better on computer than a console? I in your opinion. I'll
I
let you
have
handle that one first.
I have one right now, and it's I lived StarCraft when that first came out because I like discovered it like it'd been out a week, and it's just how much control you have over it, and just the campaigns, and then you can play it live. Well, could play it live, and I have it on the N64, and it's just not one of those games that translates well onto a console because of the what the hell, my N64 just died, but um
It didn't like you bashing it.
I what game was StarCraft? Oh geez, I didn't even realize that I had the N64 on, but I think it got mad at me. But yeah, it just I have the game in my collection, and it is playable. But as someone that grew up with the StarCraft on the PC, or not grew up with it, but discovered that first, it just can't hold the magic to me. And any other most strategy games like Civilization or SimCity, I find to be better on a PC
I
than
totally agree. I'm glad you said that because I was kind of drawing a blank. But RTS, real time strategy games, they're definitely made for the computer. You can play them on your consoles. It's super hard to select multiple units and things like that without a mouse.
yeah.
And the keyboard commands and shortcuts are essential in playing those games. So that is
I'm
a
glad.
great pick. I would just say any of those games, not just StarCraft, but Red Alert, Command and Conquer.
Yeah,
You said
and
some other ones.
the SimCity or the Civilization, not real time strategy, but the turn strategy games.
Yes.
Those are just so much better on a PC. So and the Diablo series. So
Yes. Yeah. All that type of game. Yeah. It's definitely better with a mouse.
I
All
see.
right. Well,
I think we are in very strong alliance in that our answers there, because I think a lot of people in the gaming world would say that's just because of mostly because of limitations on consoles and ease of use for the PC.
and consoles have their strong points too, where some games are way better. Because like I play Halo on my Xbox, you could play it on computer too, but it's definitely not as enjoyable.
Yeah,
All
maybe
right, let's go to
Doom.
the next question. Jeff sends $1.99. Thank you, Jeff. Oh, this one's for you, Tom. I've seen you show off a lot of your old consoles. Which one have you had the longest? Is it hard to find accessories for any of those these days?
Boy, I one of the reasons I love this app is because like people specifically ask me questions because they see what I do, and I'm just like so stoked about it. I really am. The console that I have right now that I've owned the longest is actually uh, I think it's this right here. I think it's my N64. It's either that or my PlayStation, my first PlayStation, because at the time I lived out in Massachusetts and I had just moved, so I didn't have like anything. I had like a VCR and a TV, and I was getting married at the time, and her mom was disabled and was staying with us, and she played video games a lot. So I bought an N64 for the house, and that was like the house console, and that's this very N64 you see right now. It's not super hard to find accessories for most of what I have. Um, I've noticed there's more bootleg N64 controllers than any other. I don't know why. That's the only really bootleg thing I see regularly. It's I have a lot of Game Boy. There are some rare accessories like for the Game Boy. There's like I have the printer. I do. There's an actual Game Boy printer. There's a camera that goes on the top where you can take pictures with it. But there's some really rare Game Boy accessories, and I think it's because it just there were so many companies that got involved in it. Most of the stuff, though, I will say, as far as non-video games, actual software, you can find at secondhand stores fairly. Nintendo controllers, even the NES Advantage, the Max, the Zapper, have a bunch of Genesis controllers, the 6-button Genesis controller. I think right now, and one thing I love about like the younger generations is a lot of them they love like seeing the old games and stuff, so they have an interest in the older games. So there's stores that'll have like pawn shops and stuff that'll have accessories. There's in the capital region of New York State, Albany. There's like 3 game stores that I drive over an hour just to like circle through them and find all kinds of accessories. And every time I go, I find something different. So no, it's not hard to find accessories unless you're looking for like there's a Game Boy solar charger, believe it or not, and it works. I've never seen one in the wild, but there's a thing where you set it in the sun, and then like it has a cable on it, and you plug that into the Game Boy, and the sun energy you use will power the game. I don't know how long it lasts, but something like that's
Pretty
really rare. But for the most part, the stuff's easy to find.
cool. I got a question for you about the N64. You said there's bootleg controllers. Has anybody made a controller where it's not like the traditional configuration of this N64. You know how that's kind of like maligned as one of the worst controllers. Has anybody made like a controller that's more looks like a PlayStation or something that works with that?
If there is, I would love to have one. Their intent with this controller, I believe, was to make it as friendly as they could for a left or a right-handed person. But it just, I know like one game that uses the D-pad on this. Everything else is the analog stick, which I like, but I don't know. Sometimes it's a little awkward. But yeah, I've seen places that have bootleg Nintendo 64 controllers. I've never used one. I If I have something I find out isn't a first party, I don't usually keep it because
Okay.
I don't know.
All right, cool. Thanks, Jeff, for the question. Let's move on to our next one. No name anonymous sent $3. Thank you. I'm a Star Trek guy more than Star Wars, but Star Wars games are way better. What kind of Star Trek game do you think could be popular? Ooh, and there's some new Star Trek games coming out that I've been seeing some advertisements for. There's a Voyager game. And speaking of that, my favorite Star Trek game ever was the Elite Force Star Trek Voyager Elite Force computer game. It was basically a first-person shooter, and you go on missions and you get to explore the entire ship. And there's also a VR bridge commander type thing where you get to be the captain and sit in the captain's chair. And you got the VR headset, so you get to see the entire bridge and sort of direct everything. I don't have but that's one I would love to have. Do you see it another way, or what do you think
I,
about Star Trek games?
I had a cool idea for side quest games. Like, do you remember that Star Trek episode where he got on that in the desert with that lizard creature and he made a gun out of the elements? Do you know what I'm talking about? Do you remember? I haven't seen it in forever, but what if there were
Yeah,
like they could have side quests on it where Kurt gets trapped? Yeah, Kurt got trapped at this place with this lizard creature on some planet, and like he dropped a boulder on it, and it didn't even bother him. And he couldn't, he it had to kill. You had one of them had to kill the other. That was the goal. But he found like saltpeter and sulfur, and and he made gunpowder, and he ended up taking him out. But like, what if there was a side quest? Oh, here's your gunpowder over here, And I don't know. I'm just kind of brainstorming
that's
with
kind of
that.
cool. That's kind of making it like a puzzle game where you have to figure out your resources and put it together to create something to
My
solve the
favorite,
problem. That would be
my
pretty cool in
favorite
a Star
Star
Trek
Wars.
world.
I'm sorry. I just popped in my head, but my favorite Star Wars game is on the N64, and it's Shadows of the Empire.
That's a great game. There's a lot
Uh,
of good Star Wars games on the N64.
yeah,
Rogue
you know what?
Squadron.
Yeah, yeah, and I actually think when I organize my games, I keep them by like series, like the what is it? Iron Sword is the Wizards and Warriors series on the NES is a 3 game series, and I just keep them together regardless of the titles. But no, the N64 actually looking back has a lot of really good Star Wars games, but I keep mine all in one big chunk. And I'm like, when you said Rogue Squadron, and I'm like Shadows of the Empire, I'm like, yeah, those are right, and those are cheap games. They're pretty easy to find.
Are
So
they?
most of them are. What kind of Star Trek game do you think? See if anyone, maybe he remembers this. Whoever wrote the question, there was a Star Trek episode. I think it was the Next Generation, where there was a huge accident and a bunch of like younger like cadets or whatever died. And what they were trying to do, where if you have like 5 ships come together at the same time and they all meet, and it makes this huge, beautiful like it looks like the Aurora Borealis or something. I can't remember the episode. I only saw it once. I'm not super knowledgeable about it. But what if that was like the end goal would be to do something like that? You got to work towards that. And like if you don't have everyone precisely where they got to be and one person's off, like it blows up and everyone is you know what I mean? It's like that would I think that would be such a huge build up to do something like. I'm sure there's a Trekkie out there that knows the episode I'm talking about. Like I said, my knowledge of it isn't too well, but
That's okay. All right, let's move on to James H. Sent $5. Thank you, James. Which have which have overall have you? All right, hold on. Which have you most? Okay,
what have we put
which?
the most hours into, basically?
Okay, yeah. Which have you put the most hours into? For me, it would have to be World of Warcraft back. Oh, which game? Okay, I got it. Which game have you put the most hours into overall? He says for him, it's World of Warcraft back in the early 2000s.
That's I think his World of Warcraft was probably my StarCraft. So for for about 8 months when I lived in Boston, I worked overnights at like this office building, and sometimes I would stay after my shift ended because I was still kind of wired, and I would play StarCraft for hours. And I know there was the StarCraft people and there was the Warcraft guys, and like I love the graphics of those games, and I totally get why this person put so many hours into World of Warcraft because that was a fun game too.
Oh
So
yeah, I put many hours into it. I'm not very good at it though, but I did like the world and exploring.
yeah,
I like to just go more on my own and explore the world.
Mhm.
and I would neglect all the missions and things, so I wouldn't get too high. But I put a lot of hours into it. I'd have to say my overall most played game would probably have to be Final Fantasy VII. That
Okay.
I've gone back and replayed that game many times. So
I'm sure a lot of people's answer to this question here is a Final Fantasy game.
yep.
Oddly enough, a game that I played a lot too. Probably not as many hours because like StarCraft, you could play for a day. Um, Civilization 2 for the PC. I played that a lot, and the first Street Fighter 2 for the Super Nintendo. I played that game all the damn time. I just kept fighting and fighting, and I loved it. So, but yeah, StarCraft would be my number one, and World of Warcraft. I totally get that.
Yes. All right, we got Mr. Doggo, $3. Do you think there will ever be a newcomer to the console arena to challenge Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo?
uh, I'm, I would say yes because 30 years ago that might have said Sega, Atari, and something else. So I mean,
NEC maybe?
oh NEC, yeah, Turbo Graphics. But I don't see it anytime soon just because of how loyal a lot of their fans are and how big these companies are, and the fact that I think Atari started to fail too because the quality just wasn't there anymore. But
I
these
think
guys,
most of these are gonna stick around, but it's not so much as a console war anymore because consoles are going away and everything's going online and cloud gaming. So it's just
yeah,
gonna be developers really, just getting the best games out there and you can play on a lot of different devices.
I guess I'd say that the landscape might change, but I don't see these companies like failing. You know what I mean? Sometimes you make some. I mean, Nintendo made the Virtual Boy. The Xbox had the red light of death or whatever. There's always going to be stuff like that. But as a whole, I think what'll eventually happen is there might be like a fourth one, and maybe eventually two of them will merge or something like that.
I
But
think you could probably put in Meta, the Facebook parent
uh,
company. They're already doing virtual reality, and so I think they'll probably get bigger and bigger. Especially with the way that's all getting better. Virtual reality is going to be a big thing.
I've tried it before. I liked it, but I just the old stuff's so much fun for me. But that's a good question. I like that. I do feel that they'll have competition, but I think that it's you probably will always be three or four main
Yeah.
video game
Out of
suppliers.
the
So
big tech companies that don't have like a specific console, like Apple really doesn't have a game console, and Amazon they could possibly come out with something at some point.
Apple did have a video game console though. It was called the
Which one?
Pippin. It was called the Pippin. 19 maybe 91 or 90. Look it up sometime. It was terrible.
So they
It was,
already tried.
all right, what do we got? What else we got? This is fun.
All right, Anonymous sends in $1. Thank you. Did you ever see the movie The Wizard? Never did I want something more than a power glove when I was a kid than when I saw it in that movie.
Um, yes, I've seen it, and I know one of the places I was mentioning earlier that I go to get game stuff has a power glove, and you always have to ask, is it functional? Not does it work? Because the answer to does it work is always no. It just does. You know what I mean? The technology wasn't there. But I will say one thing: seeing that thing in that movie, and you were a kid, man. Hell yeah, everybody wanted. That was like the coolest. At the time, I think if you were that age group and you had a power glove, I think you were like probably the coolest kid on the block. You know?
Oh yeah, yeah. Nintendo they came out with some pretty cool accessories. They had that like thing that looked like a laser mounted missile launcher that was like shoulder over your shoulder.
Konami. Oh, the Super Scope.
That's it.
Oh shoot! Hold on a second.
Oh look, he's got one. Of course.
Are you talking about this thing?
Yes. It seemed a lot bigger when you were a kid.
Yeah, no, it did. But this this is just for the novelty. There's like one game for it. It takes like six AA batteries, and you get like 2 hours out of them. You can't use it on a flat screen either. You have to use it on a CRT.
Oh wow.
So yeah, otherwise it'll just scatter every time you shoot. But
What happens when you try to play Duck Hunt with that thing? Do you just blow up the whole level?
the Super Nintendo.
Oh,
So
that's Super Nintendo. My
yeah,
bad.
yeah. No, yeah, most people don't know. Yeah, it's the Super NES accessory.
Wow.
But no, I totally get like I can relate to him saying more than never did I want something more than a power glove, and it was just like the ad had like the kid's hand with the power glove on it, and you're like, wow, this thing, and like and Mike Tyson's Punch Out was super popular then, so you thought you were gonna go up there and start duking it out with the boxers on that. So
Yeah, you
it's
thought, but
disappointing.
that's not exactly quite how it worked out. And that movie was kind of just a big commercial for the Mario Brothers 3, right? Isn't that around that came out?
Yeah, it's generally panned as an hour and a half or a 90-minute Nintendo commercial. But most of the kids I didn't think cared because I was so all about Super Mario 3 as well, and it was actually inspired by they wanted to make a kids version of the Tommy the rock opera. Is that a rock opera? The Pinball Wizard. Oh, I don't know. That might be a little older because that's a Who song I'm referring to. But anyway, yes, I hope he got his Power Glove one day and was at least happy to wear it. But,
All right, next up, question from AMT 1982, $5. Thank you. Who do you think could play Snake in a Metal Gear Solid live action movie? I think it's a franchise that could really work as a movie. This is a good question. I love Metal Gear Solid. That's another one that I probably spend put a lot of hours into if you consider the entire franchise. What is there like 6 games? I still play it to this day, and that would make a great movie. What do you think?
I think it would. I want to hear your answer for who you think would be. I have an idea. I have my own idea, but I want to hear. I want to hear who you think. Somebody younger.
I have the face in mind, but I'm struggling to come up with their name. They played the Winter Soldier.
No, well, my
Sebastian Stan, I think.
Is that his name?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I don't. A lot of their names I don't know. I'd have to refer to a show, but I was wondering, would this be a good opportunity to find somebody that doesn't have anything attached to them yet, like a new actor, and throw them into this and see, because I feel like there's a lot of like when they put The Rock in the movie Doom. Remember when they made the movie Doom? I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah, Doom. I thought you said Dune for a second.
Oh no, Doom.
Yeah,
D-O-O.
that awful Doom movie. Yeah.
It was like we already kind of know who he is, so you kind of already have an expectation of what the movie's going to be because they might do this type of movie a lot. And I think making a Metal Gear Solid live action movie, I think they should make it like a rated R movie. You know,
yeah, definitely.
I know that might kill some of your demographic, but I think it would be more as like a dark, grittier. I'm trying to think of who would play Snake other than like somebody new because I do actually want to think of somebody and not give you a decent answer.
Yeah, his voice was like a very deep voice, very gravelly kind of deep voice.
Yeah, yeah. So, geez, you know what? I don't know. I really, I'm really kind of at a loss for this one. I'm just running. I'm running through like voice actors and stuff and all, but
Well, basically, our answer is someone like a unknown, that you would really want to try to match with a good likeness to the video game character. You don't want to put in someone too famous because then it becomes
that's
distracting.
I think having a non-famous person would probably be the best way to go on this. I'm trying to
Like you
picture.
said about The Rock in the Doom movie,
Yeah,
it became more of a look at The Rock movie instead of really living in the Doom world.
yeah.
You
You know
know,
what? I think because it wasn't a video game movie, then it was a rock. It was a Dwayne Johnson movie.
exactly.
So, but I hate not to give an answer. I'm just running through my head and picturing one of the Jonas Brothers, like with the stubble or something. Like, no, that's not going to
That's
work.
a pretty good pick. Like Nick Jonas, he could rough up a little bit and maybe play something like that as he gets older.
I was thinking maybe if there's like a pro athlete or something that could do it, like a basketball player. Maybe if he was like kind of lanky or whatever, maybe he could fit into the role well. Or I don't know. I'm just brainstorming on that. But I guess I hate to cop out on that one, but that's really the best I could do it at this question.
That's all right. All right, let's go to the next one. Question from Stan Tall for $2.99. Thank you. Which Twisted Metal character? Ooh, I love Twisted Metal. Would each of you pick to play if you were in a tournament right now?
um, I have two
And
answers.
you can't pick Minion.
I won't pick Minion. Did he say you can't pick Minion? Or did
No,
they say that?
no. But he's not on the normal roster, so I'm gonna eliminate that one.
I won't take him anyway. I won't take Sweet Tooth 'cause I don't freaking like him at all. Honestly, I love motorcycles, and I really like Mr. Grimm from Twisted Metal too because he had that sidecar, and that's where you keep all your munitions and grab it. It's like I know I'm weak in the armor, but I feel the evasiveness would be beneficial, and you can hide better. There's roads you could go down that other cars can't. My other choice might be Juggernaut, just because you're driving a friggin' tractor trailer and you can just, but I'd probably get stuck.
I'm gonna go with Warthog because it's a tank pretty much. He's kind of like the little minion. He's very strong. He's got a lot of armor, and his special weapon is 3 homing missiles. And yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Warthog.
That's a good comparison too. Like he's like a small minion because they're kind of the same with the same weaponry and armor, but uh, Warthogs is a little bit lower. But I'm also picking Mr. Grimm because of the speed. Because you know, give a few hits and then get the hell out of there.
Yeah. Also, if I had to pick up a backup, it would be probably Outlaw,
Mm. Oh
the
yeah,
one in Twisted Metal 2. I'm not sure if she has the same.
the
Well, it was a
police.
he in the first game, and then a she, I
Yeah,
believe, in the
the
second
brother.
game.
It was her brother in the first one, and she had
With
the
that electricity thing that,
that was a good weapon because you didn't have to be facing the person to use it on them.
and it really
And
screws you up. You think you're like heading right for them, and you fire
yeah,
off that weapon, it turns them upside down and throws you off course, and then you can escape if you need to. It's pretty
I'm
effective.
also thinking I like Mr. Slam too, but he's too clunky. So
Yeah,
Mr. Grimm,
he's very lumbering, and if you
yeah,
can freeze him, you can take him out pretty quickly.
yeah. All right, that was dude. They knew they loved. I loved that question.
Yeah. All right. Mark L sends a question in for $1. Thank you, Mark. If you could use any controller on any system to play any game, what would you pick? Wow, that's a hard question. Let's start with controller. What would you pick?
For me, Matt, I might have to go with. I'm either gonna pick the Super Nintendo controller or I really like the GameCube controller. I love the thing those two have in common to me is the buttons that are a little bit more difficult to reach. You know what I mean, like the top ones. Hold on a second here. Like with the Super Nintendo controller, like I put my weak punches up here when I play Street Fighter 2 because I don't use these buttons as much. So the ones that you don't use as often are maybe take a little more effort to use, and the other everything else is just right at your fingertips. I mean, I don't know, very ergonomically friendly. I think I'm probably gonna go with the Super Nintendo controller. So
Yeah, I'm partial to the PlayStation controller. It fits in
I
your
think
hand very well, and you got those grips. Um, I think it beats out the Xbox controller a little bit.
I think because it's a
Um,
little bit slimmer, just a little bit. It feels a little bit slimmer.
right, the
Maybe.
Xbox one is definitely a little got more heft to it. It's thicker.
I'm
As far
trying to
as
think.
console, so my controller is PlayStation. My console is going to be probably Xbox. What do you
I
think?
think my system might be. Geez, I don't know. I think I'd want to play Twisted Metal 2 with a Super Nintendo controller on the PlayStation because
Good
I'm pretty
combo.
good, right? That's. But you know what? There's probably not enough buttons. This is a good question. I like these because they're like kind of a little outside the box. You know, you could use any controller on any system to play any game. So I'm gonna say Super Nintendo controller, PlayStation. I guess I go Twisted Metal 2. I think that's what I'm gonna choose.
I think I'll just go with keeping it all the same. It's going to be PlayStation with the PlayStation controller and Twisted Metal 2, or or PlayStation controller, and then could be really any system, but Resident Evil.
Oh, okay. So you're a big fan of PS controller, it seems.
Yeah.
Good choice. That was a cool. That was a fun question. I like that sort of stuff.
Yep. All right. Let's see what we got next. All right. Another anonymous question for $1. Why were '90s cartoons so elite compared to what we see today?
Good question. I
'90s cartoons. I'm thinking Batman the animated series. I mean, that's still something I watch to this
did you
day.
ever watch Animaniacs?
Animaniacs is great. They just had a new season that I'm kind of going through on Hulu, but not as
I
good as it was in the original run, honestly. But it's okay.
have a couple theories I'd like to share with you about why they were. I'm wondering if they were better then because cartoons still weren't as mainstream as they are now. You know what I mean? And I feel like with a lot of the new ones, because Cartoon Network was getting popular, Nickelodeon was popular, and like if you didn't make a cutting edge cartoon, nobody was going to buy it because they're like, we got this huge cartoon boom. That Rugrats was on, and I don't know if you watched the Wild Thornberries and the Powerpuff Girls, and all that stuff. That's a good word, elite, because I really feel like a lot of them, not even the animation was had to be that good. The story was solid. I mean, who takes three kindergarten girls that gives them superpowers and and they just beat the hell out of monsters? That was like one of the bloodiest cartoons I ever saw. You know?
Yeah, they were. I think they're a lot more censored these days, and the stories are a little bit dumbed down, honestly. And a lot of the times there was a message, which is big for me in my content that I like. If there's not a message or some reason to be watching, if it's just like cotton candy garbage,
Yeah.
I don't. It doesn't stick. I could still remember specific episodes of like Darkwing Duck and
Oh my,
Tailspins and stuff like that that just
it was
stick with you.
duck.
And today you watch stuff and it's like it all just washes over you, kind of
It
comes and
duck.
goes.
You had to pay attention to them too, because it was maybe they just had like the best writers were like, let's make cartoons really popular, and they really did well with it. That you ever see like Hey Arnold? I don't know if you ever seen that cartoon Hey Arnold. Um, and there were just so many, and then it just got, and I think since there was so much competition at that time, if you didn't have something stellar, and now I think maybe some of them are used for different purposes. Like I'm gonna have the kids, nothing against parents that do this. I would do the same thing, but I'm going to use media to entertain my kids when I got stuff to do. So it doesn't have to be anything great. It just has to be pretty good. You know.
Yeah, I don't even know what kids are watching these days, but
I guess for me the answer would be it's a scenery change. You know, it's like live. We used to have scheduled these shows. The cartoons we watched were scheduled too. Like
you
if you
run
weren't.
home from school to try
You're
to
right.
catch, you know, what were some of the ones that you would catch after school? There was oh, what was the one with the airplane? The bear that flew the airplane?
Tailspin.
Tailspin. Yeah, I remember I had to get Tailspin, Darkwing Duck, and Batman the Animated Series.
And
Uh,
that's the thing. That was another era I think too that maybe made it more elite. Was it wasn't just goofy, like the Looney Tune stuff, which of course we love. Um, but then they had some dark ones, like the Batman. They had like serious cartoons, like the way Teen Titans, and that was different too, because like the comic book crowd is like, oh, they got this in a cartoon, and I think that some of the stuff was more of a specific market, but when you make it for just that market, you're going to make it really good. So.
yeah, the storylines in Batman the Animated Series were a lot darker than the movies
Is that the
that they
one?
came out with in that era.
Is that the one where Mark Hamill did the voice of the
The
Joker?
Joker. Yeah.
Is that okay? Okay. Yeah, I was older, but it was on when I would come home. I was about out of high school, so that was a fun question. I like that.
Yeah.
I feel good because I'm always thinking I'm biased because I'm like I only like the '90s one because I was younger then, and so.
All right, here's our next one from Jod Ma Wood for $10. Holy crap! Thank you.
Oh.
Why did going to McDonald's as a kid seem so magical? Where do kids these days get that kind of experience? I remember a tree you could climb in. Yeah, I remember this. A tree you could climb inside at the play place in my hometown. Gone now.
Yeah. One of the reasons the play places aren't common anymore is because of the sanitation laws. Which, because I mean, you know how dirty kids are. It's like think of how awful those. You know how much disease is in
Yeah,
there.
but we did it as kids in the 80s and 90s, and we were fine. I think I was thinking what came to my mind was lawsuits probably shut down
Uh,
things. The way that
that's,
people are these days,
so
suing any kid that gets hurt, and it's just
I
too
got
much trouble for the workers to keep up with.
I got to tell you this personal story. My sister and I, who were a year apart, our dads, we had a birthday party at McDonald's when we were, I think we turned 8, 9, or 7 and 8, and it honestly when he said magical, that was a magical experience. I think because like someone else is making you food, and it's like when you're a kid, like leaving the house because going to the mall, which I live near the one now I would go to as a kid. It was like this exotic place, that you can't get this. We didn't have a McDonald's, so the closest one was half an hour away, and it's like, oh, we're gonna get in the car and go get, and it was something different. It was something fun, and it was just the experience of it. You usually went with friends or family, people you liked and that you were close to. So
Yeah, I definitely agree with this. With the person asking the question because it was magical. It's
mhm.
definitely lost that these days.
Yeah,
McDonald's right now, their building looks the same as like a any other
you
building.
know,
It's like a
you know why
gray
they're like that?
square.
There's a reason they're like that. If they
Yeah, I was
want
reading
to,
about that. Yeah,
if they move, anyone can move in and not have to change the sign, or change the structure. So
right. That's why
yeah,
you don't see the old Pizza Hut style buildings anymore. Because like, who else could fit in that type of building in
there's a
that?
I don't know of the authenticity of this photo, but there is an old Pizza Hut that is now a Domino's. So the red Pizza Hut roof is blue, and it says Domino's on it, and it looks like all I can think of is a wolf in sheep's clothing because it's like that's a Pizza Hut, man. You know. So yeah,
Yeah,
no,
I remember the play place, and I remember this tree that he's talking about. He or she. um, yeah, they just definitely they I just I don't feel like McDonald's. I don't feel like they're made for kids anymore. The
yeah,
menu, first of all, is way more expensive. I don't even know if they have really cool Happy Meal toys anymore. They used to have like the best toys
I
at
think they
McDonald's
do.
Happy Meals that would go with movies. Like I remember getting like Batman action figures. and the glasses. Remember the glass cups?
Oh well, I see the old people memes where it says, "Hey, we have company. Take out the good cups," and it's the McDonald's cups. We had the plates. We had the McDonald's plates, and one of them was like Ronald McDonald jumping into a pile of leaves that Grimace had just raked up. So no, it was honestly to when you're a kid, McDonald's is Disneyland, man. So
All right, next up from David R. Sent in 397. Thank you, David. Never had a console. Instead, I went outside. Oh boy. We used our imaginations. Cheers from England. Good luck with the show. Thanks, David.
if I
Um,
may, so, I went to England. I stayed in London for a week in 2010, and if I don't know if he knows this place, but there was a little fish and chips place that had burgers and stuff too called Tony's Place, and my then wife and I went there twice in the week we were there, and we had pictures taken with him, and he was such a fun guy. So I had a very positive experience in England. So
well, what do you think about growing up not having video games? Is that something that you
I
think is a
actually
good thing?
wasn't. Um, it depends. I liked having. Well, when I got older, I liked having one in the house, but I wasn't allowed to have. My mom wouldn't let me have them, but when I got old enough, then I started buying them. Maybe that's why I collect like I do now. But and looking back, I didn't mind because I loved riding my bicycle, and we lived in a rural town next to a mountain, so we used to like climb up the mountain and stuff like that. So no, it was a good time, and I do love video games, but sometimes I'll go a few days, I'll spend a weekend and just go camping or something,
Yeah,
and
it
just
wasn't all or nothing for us. We had video games, but I spent a lot of time outside. We lived in the country. We played out in the woods. We did bikes, like you said. Where I
yeah.
lived, it snowed a lot, so you'd want to be outside playing in the snow all
Oh
the
yeah.
time.
So well, that was a fun comment. I thought it was going to get ugly for a moment.
Me too. I wasn't sure where that was going. All right. Adam wins $1. Thank you, Adam. I think Halo is the best video game series. Oat. Does he mean goat? Like great? Oh, of all time. Gotcha. Why no movie? The series was just getting good too before it was canceled. Did you watch the Halo series? Are you into that?
I'm familiar with some of it, not enough to make a real informed decision. But in this person's defense, I feel like that would have been a very good opportunity to make a successful movie and maybe start a franchise.
Yeah, they
So
did the series. I watched it and I stayed with it. I liked the production value. It had good graphics and CGI, and the acting was pretty good. Just the storyline wasn't all there. I think when you do stuff in a series and it gets drawn out too much, there's too much fluff. And I think a movie would be really good. Like take a game, make a movie out of it. There's what is there, 5 or 6 Halo games? There could be
right.
5 or 6 movies.
I'm
It's a good
wondering if
idea.
too. I'm wondering too if maybe there's a little bit of saturation with certain games and fan bases, so that maybe it wouldn't have been as maybe they didn't want to take the risk because they didn't think it was going to be as successful as they wanted it to. But I think it would.
I think they're
I
wrong
think
because if they made all these Resident Evil movies that are garbage, they could try a Halo movie.
you know what? I think this person makes a good point. I think a Halo. I think you'd have a big and when you just mentioned the Resident Evil movies, these couldn't really. I don't think they could be that much worse if they. I feel that they would be better. Um,
Yeah, I feel like they could do a lot. With what they already have as far as just adapt the video game story.
yeah.
Don't change too much. Stay faithful to it. The fans will be happy.
Agreed.
Well, Tom, we got more questions to cover, but I'm gonna have to jump off here. So we're gonna call it a night.
Hey, I
Thanks to
gotta
everybody
tell it.
for sending in the questions, and make sure to go subscribe to our channel. It's in the link
I'll,
of our
and I'll
bio.
follow you. I'll follow you back too. I like to follow back because gamers have got fun stuff. So,
Definitely.
all right.
You got to go follow Tom at Canada Goose. Hopefully,
And
you followed me, Nostalgia King,
don't,
and
don't
go
forget
in
to end
either one of our
live.
bios and check out the link to our YouTube channel, Pop Culture Blast. We're going to be doing more videos like this, and you can also, there's a link to submit a question and support the channel. So thanks everybody for watching. Tom, do you have any final words before we sign off?
Boy, oh boy, just that I really like a lot of people how much they like the physical media of the games. And when they like people will see stuff in my background and they'll be like, "Oh, you have this," and they'll ask me to tell them about it, and I'm more than happy to do that. So, but yeah, this was one of the most. This was a very fun hour, Matt, and it was
Yeah.
greatly appreciated.
Well, thanks for joining me. And yeah, I totally go follow Tom if you like physical games and especially retro stuff, NES, Master System. He's
Yeah.
got it all. He's got all the accessories. It's really interesting stuff that he does on there. So thanks a lot, everybody. And see you next time on
Have a good
Pop
night.
Culture Blast. Okay, everyone, that's going to do it for us this week. I want to thank you all for joining us yet again for another journey down memory lane. I hope you enjoyed listening to our conversation and answers to your audience-submitted questions. Next week, we'll be back to talk about more nostalgia-related topics and answer another batch of your questions. Thank you so much to all those listeners who wrote in this week. And remember, you too can submit a question for us to answer here on the show. Just head over to streamelements.com/popcultureblast/tip. We'd love to hear from you. And don't forget to share the show with your friends, like the video, and subscribe to our channel. You can find links to all our social media in the description of this video, as well as in the bio. We truly appreciate any and all support. Okay, everyone, thank you so much for listening to this episode of Pop Culture Blast. Until next time, have a great day.